Adam Hale had spent years believing he had it all: wealth, power, and complete control over his life. In a fleeting moment, everything he held to be true shattered into oblivion. It wasn't a failed deal or an adversary threatening his territory. Two little girls roamed the corridor of his office building, tears flowing down their cheeks, alongside a woman he believed he would never see again. He had no plans to stop. He never expected to experience any emotions whatsoever. Yet, when he met her expansive blue eyes and saw the fear carved into her expression, he understood that everything in his life had just changed forever. Adam Hale was an individual who thrived in the domain of organization. Every single day of his life was carefully structured, deliberately planned, and optimized for peak efficiency. He brushed aside distractions, maintained emotional distance when making choices, and undoubtedly avoided investing time in anything that held no importance. He built his empire with unwavering focus, resolute determination, and a firm belief that success was the only goal truly worth chasing. Yet, all at once, everything came to a sudden and unexpected halt the moment he stepped into the corridor of his corporate headquarters and spotted two little girls leaning against the wall, their small hands clasped together, their big blue eyes filled with tears. They seemed to be no older than 4, their matching dark hair tousled as if they had been engaged in spirited play. Wearing simple white t-shirts, their fragile shoulders trembled as they whispered to one another. Adam felt the pressure mounting as he hurried to prepare for an important call. He should have pressed on, letting security or one of the aides handle the situation. However, an aspect of the scene made him pause. The taller of the two, though only slightly so, rubbed her eyes, fighting back tears, while the other sniffled and held onto the hem of her sister's shirt. He let out a gentle breath. In spite of his doubts, he moved ahead with determination. "Are you experiencing a sense of confusion?" he asked, keeping his voice calm, careful not to startle them. Both girls looked up at him, their eyes wide, as if they were just realizing he was there. The person with slightly translucent hair nodded hesitantly, her lip quivering. "We can't find Mommy," the other said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Adam frowned deeply. He had seen many children in the building before, as executives sometimes brought their kids in for short visits or during emergencies. But these two seemed to stand out, not fitting in with anyone from his team. They were devoid of the polished appearance often associated with individuals from wealthy families. An intriguing quality surrounded them, a magnetic pull that resonated within him, stirring emotions he struggled to comprehend. He bent down, bringing his gaze to meet theirs. "Do you know your mother's name?" The young woman hesitated for a brief moment before she started to articulate her thoughts. "Sophia is the name of my mother." Adam experienced a tightening sensation in his chest. It was a name that resonated with many, yet it carried an unsettling quality that twisted in his stomach with discomfort. "Sophia, what's going on?" he implored, working to keep his voice even. The girls exchanged a glance, and in that instant, the more reserved one finally mustered the courage to speak up. "Walsh." A strange sensation crept down Adam's spine. That name was familiar to him. He jolted upright, a whirlwind of thoughts racing through his mind. Sophia Walsh. It was just not feasible. He cast a quick look over his shoulder at the girls, his heart pounding with an intensity that felt almost excessive. "Your mom works here?" he asked, his voice laced with a more intense sharpness than before. The girls replied with a unified nod. The first girl spoke softly. "She tidies up. She urged us to stay united, but ultimately we drifted apart." Adam experienced an unexpected constriction in his throat. A memory, long concealed, surfaced unexpectedly. Vibrant images of a woman with cascading brown hair and piercing blue eyes. Echoes of laughter resonating in the quiet of the night. Unfulfilled promises hanging in the atmosphere. And then, just as quickly as she had stepped into his life, she disappeared. No further elaboration required. Goodbyes are not needed. Vanished without a trace. Before him stood two little girls, each with captivating blue eyes that seemed to sparkle with curiosity. Those captivating azure orbs. His entire world transformed profoundly. Just as he was on the verge of uttering another word, The door to his office swung open with a sudden force. His assistant rushed over, a trace of agitation apparent in her manner. Mr. Hale, part of the cleaning crew, is searching for her children. She is engulfed by a wave of anxiety. Adam stood frozen, his mind wrestling with the chaos around him. The assistant took a brief pause before continuing on. Sophia Walsh is the name she goes by. The term hit him like a runaway locomotive. He stole a look at the girls, who were now watching him with curiosity, unaware of the storm that had just erupted inside him. The elements came together with such fluidity and clarity that he found it hard to comprehend how he had overlooked them when he first laid eyes on them. These were not just two aimless young spirits. They were his beloved daughters. He was entirely oblivious to their presence. Before Adam could fully process the shocking news, the office door swung open again with a forceful bang. A woman rushed through the door, her breath rapid and shallow, her wide blue eyes scanning the room in a desperate search. Upon spotting the girls, a rush of relief washed over her, and she hurried toward them, dropping to her knees and wrapping them in a warm, tight embrace. "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" she whispered tenderly, bestowing soft kisses upon their dark locks as they clung to her with unwavering affection. A profound sense of dread enveloped me. "I asked you to stay close to me." The girls murmured their regrets softly against her shoulder, their tiny hands gripping the fabric of her uniform with a sense of urgency. Adam stood motionless. He couldn't do it. He stood frozen in place, watching the unfolding scene with an intensity that made it feel as if the ground itself had shifted beneath him. Sophia Walsh. She appeared just as he remembered, her long brown hair softly curling at the ends, those once warm, piercing blue eyes now revealing a weariness mixed with an air of caution. She wore a simple uniform, a cleaning service emblem embroidered on the chest, and that detail alone hit him with another surge of disbelief. He devoted years to shaping a life defined by achievement, years gaining a level of authority and impact that many could only dream of. During that time, she had been right there in his own building, meticulously cleaning floors and organizing offices. In the company of his children, his daughters. Sophia finally raised her eyes, as if she sensed his gaze on her. As soon as she saw him, the relief in her expression vanished. In a prolonged, electric stillness, words eluded both of them. The air around them was thick, charged with an unexpected tension that took them both by surprise. Then, gently, with a touch of uncertainty, she spoke his name. "Adam." It was a soft whisper, yet it carried the weight of 5 years of silence, of unanswered questions, of a truth that had remained hidden from him. He forced himself to breathe, forced himself to swallow the countless questions sparking at the back of his throat. "They lost their way," he whispered, his voice gentler than he had intended. "I stumbled upon them in the corridor." Sophia tightened her hold on the girl's shoulders. "I just looked away for a moment," she said hastily, as though bracing for an examination. "Sometimes, I bring them with me during my late shifts. They usually linger in the break room, but today they wandered off." Adam lifted a hand, stopping her in her tracks. "They're fine," he said. His gaze locked onto hers with unwavering focus. "That is what genuinely matters." Sophia exhaled slowly, as if she had expected a different reply from him. She nodded, softly brushing her fingers through Emma's hair before rising, making sure both girls stayed close by her side. She seemed less vibrant than he remembered, not in stature, but in the way she carried herself. The once vibrant and passionate woman he had known now faced him with a cautious and defensive stance, as if preparing for a struggle she feared she might not win. Adam was consumed by a relentless need to seek answers in this moment. Why she had hidden truths from him, why she had decided to walk away, and why she had taken on the role of the only parent to their daughters all these years. However, not a single one of those words left his lips. Instead, he looked down at the girls, who were now gazing up at him with eyes full of awe. "I heard them say your name was Sophia," he murmured, his tone now gentler. "I wasn't mentioned at all." Sophia flinched, her fingers clutching the fabric of her uniform with intensity. "No," she admitted softly. "They just wouldn't." The weight of that truth settled deeply inside him. His children remained entirely oblivious to who he truly was. He dragged a hand across his face, battling to control the whirlwind of thoughts in his mind. He was a man who built his life on the bedrock of mastery, relishing in his acute perception of every nuance that transpired within his domain. For the past 4 years, his existence had seemed lacking, though he had been happily oblivious to it. Emma shifted slightly, her eyes flitting back and forth between him and Sophia. "Mother," she whispered gently, her voice tender. "Is he upset?" Sophia's lips parted, seemingly searching for the ideal expression, but it was Adam who broke the silence first. "No," he said, shaking his head. "I'm perfectly fine." He began to ponder the essence of who he truly was, seething with anger, astounded, shattered. Maybe all of it, maybe none of it at all. Eliza tilted her head slightly. "What's the tale that explains your look?" Adam let out a laugh that was almost breathless, shaking his head again. He openly acknowledged that he had recently found out he had 2 daughters. "I feel a bit hesitant about how to move forward with it right now." The girls blinked, their identical blue eyes widening slightly. Sophia seemed poised to step in, possibly to ease the momentum or halt the rapid progression. Yet it was Emma who shattered the stillness first. "We lack a father," she said matter-of-factly. The weight of the words hit him harder than he had expected. Sophia flinched again. Adam bent down to meet their gaze, a lump rising in his throat as he connected with their curious eyes. "I believe you might," he whispered, his tone now gentler. "At that moment it was simply beyond your awareness." Eliza studied him closely for a prolonged duration. With a delightful innocence, she asked the question that carried the deepest meaning. "Are you thinking of departing at this moment?" Adam experienced a profound pain in his chest. He grasped, without needing to ask, that her words reached far beyond the limits of the here and now. He directed his attention towards Sophia again. For the first time since she had crossed that threshold, she wasn't just on guard. She seemed truly terrified, apprehensive about his reaction, anxious about the developments that lie ahead. Consequently, he reached his conclusion. He firmly declared, "Absolutely not. I shall remain here." Eliza seemed uncertain, leading him to respond, "Not now. Not at all." Sophia's breath hitched, but she held her tongue. Emma's slender fingers clutched the hem of her shirt. "Do you really vow?" Adam offered a subtle nod. "I guarantee it." For the first time, a soft glow danced in the girl's expressions, suggesting a yearning to place her trust in him. Sophia, in contrast, seemed hesitant about embracing it as reality. And Adam realized, with steadfast conviction, that showing it to her would be the most difficult part of all. Adam spent the rest of the day wrestling with the events that had transpired. Every time he returned to the discussion, he encountered the same stubborn truth. He was fortunate to have daughters. 2 charming, radiant little girls who had lived their entire lives oblivious to his true nature. Years were dedicated to building a sprawling business empire, with decisions that shaped entire industries. However, the most profound element of his life emerged in the silence of his absence. The weight of that realization settled heavily on his heart as he lingered in his office, staring blankly at the skyline outside his window. He had consistently held a deep sense of pride in his capacity to exert control, assured in his comprehension of every facet of his reality. In that instant, he felt a strange detachment from his own being. He had disregarded their opening remarks, their early strides, their special days. He had missed everything. A sharp knock at the door shattered his daydream. Jessica, his assistant, peeked in, her usual composure now tinged with a trace of uncertainty. "Mr. Hale, Ms. Walsh is here to see you." Adam adjusted his stance, pushing aside the emotions that hovered around him. "Allow her to enter." Shortly after, Sophia stepped into the office, her attitude a mix of hesitation and determination. She had removed her uniform, her brown hair pulled back neatly into a simple ponytail. The woman he had once known had vanished, supplanted by a mere echo of the passionate, self-assured Sophia who had once boldly confronted him at every opportunity. Instead, She stood before him as a figure changed, a person who had carried the burden of a secret for 5 long years, a truth that rightfully belonged to him too. He gestured toward the chair placed across from his desk. "Please have a seat." Sophia hesitated, a fleeting moment of doubt lingering around her, before she elegantly took her place, her hands folded neatly in her lap. For a prolonged moment, neither of them spoke a single word. Finally, Adam leaned in, his voice calm but determined. "What made you hold back that information from me?" Sophia exhaled slowly, as if she had been bracing herself for this precise question. She admitted that she harbored the longing. First, his jaw tightened. Yet that was not the situation. She looked down at her hands. Unfavorable. The silence stretched between them, thick with the weight of countless unvoiced thoughts gathered over time. Adam wrestled with a simmering anger he longed to evade, but the resentment persisted, subtly surging just beneath the surface. He had lost something beyond recovery, an emptiness that would remain forever unfilled. Sophia at last met his gaze. "When I found out I was pregnant, you were already gone. You had advanced to greater endeavors, more daring plans. I grasped the importance your profession had for you. And she hesitated, swallowing her doubt. "I never meant to trap you." Adam's fingers tightened around the edge of his desk. "Ensnare my essence." His voice sliced through the atmosphere, brimming with incredulity. "Do you truly think I would have seen my children as a weight to carry?" Sophia flinched just a bit, but she kept her gaze locked on him. "I found myself uncertain about what you may have selected, Adam." A profound unease washed over me as I contemplated the revelation of the truth. He took a deep breath, each inhalation measured and intentional. He had become a person completely unrecognizable from the man he had been 5 years earlier. During that time, he seemed to be completely immersed in his endeavors, tirelessly working to achieve greater aspirations. It seems he may have been a bit unready. However, she had never given him the chance to decide for himself. "They think they are without a father," he whispered, his voice heavy with raw, unrestrained feeling. "Can you truly fathom what that experience entailed?" Hearing those phrases flow from their lips, Sophia lowered her eyes again, her hands balling into tight fists. "I took action based on what I thought would serve them best. And what about what was most advantageous for me?" His voice was gentle, yet it revealed the intensity of his frustration. "Have you ever contemplated that? Have you ever considered that maybe I should be kept in the loop?" Her cerulean gaze shimmered with unshed tears, yet she restrained them resolutely. "I pondered it each day." Adam leaned back in his chair, exhaling sharply. He longed to feel fury towards her. He was consumed by a powerful desire to cry out, to uncover the reality, to express the profound loss of what she had taken from him. Still, he could not ignore the fatigue evident in her eyes, the weight of remorse she carried. Her intentions were not born of ill will. She had moved forward with the belief that she was protecting their daughters. That definitely didn't ease the discomfort. He swept a hand over his face, urging himself to focus on what really mattered. Ultimately, he emphasized the importance of grasping the reality. "It's crucial for them to grasp who I truly am." Sophia tilted her head with a measured grace. "I comprehend. So when is that going to happen?" She hesitated, doubt dancing in her thoughts. "I choose not to overwhelm them. They remain quite young, and a father has never been involved in their lives. It's not something they will understand right away." Adam clenched his jaw, but he forced himself to stay calm. "What do you suggest?" Sophia took a deep breath, carefully choosing her words with great care. "Let us start with the fundamentals. You slowly dedicate time to them. Let them get comfortable with your presence before we share all the specifics." It did not meet expectations. Inappropriate for him. He yearned to hold them close, to hear them call him dad, to make amends for the lost years that had passed by. He understood that rushing was not a viable choice. If he forced his entry, it could lead to unforeseen repercussions, and above all, he wished for his daughters to never feel afraid of him. At last, he responded, "Nevertheless, I wish to take part. In every facet. I will not settle for being a mere moment in their existence." I aim to embrace the role of their father. Sophia's lips parted slightly, betraying her astonishment at his response. After a prolonged pause, she gave a subtle nod. Got it. It was not without its flaws. It did not meet his expectations. However, it signified the start. He was resolute in capturing every cherished moment he had left with them. As Adam stepped into the park the next afternoon, a sense of uncertainty washed over him regarding what awaited him. He spent the entire night pondering how this meeting might unfold, imagining every possible scenario in his mind. Will the girls feel shy? Could they be experiencing doubt? Would they genuinely wish to partake in dialogue with him? After years of brokering million-dollar deals and making pivotal decisions that influenced entire industries, he found himself, for the first time, completely adrift in how to handle the situation at hand. Sophia settled onto a bench near the playground, anticipation building as she awaited his arrival. Arms crossed, she watched Emma and Eliza as they swung rhythmically, their small legs driving them through the open air. They seemed utterly at ease, blissfully unaware of the looming changes that would reshape their reality. As she noticed him approaching, Sophia stood up, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "You're here ahead of time," she whispered softly. Adam gave a subtle shrug, his gaze drifting toward the girls. "I set my sights on arriving punctually." Sophia studied him closely for a moment before pointing toward the playground. She mentioned that they know someone will be joining them for play today. "Nevertheless, I chose not to disclose the identity." Adam experienced a tightness in his chest. He understood the rationale behind her actions, but it hardly dulled the sting of her words. The daughters remained oblivious to the fact that they were eagerly awaiting their father's return. Sophia took a brief moment before speaking. "I wanted to see how they would respond to you initially, without any pressure." He inhaled deeply, wrestling with the wave of frustration that sought to break free. This was not concerning him. This tale revolves around Emma and Eliza. Taking a calming breath, he acknowledged with a nod. "Got it." Sophia gestured toward the swings with a graceful wave of her hand. "Continue." Adam advanced, every step deliberate and purposeful. The girls' laughter rang out, their cheerful voices climbing as they swung higher and higher, blissfully oblivious to his presence at first. It was Eliza who first caught sight of him. She relaxed her swing, tilting her head as she regarded him with the same contemplative curiosity she had shown in his office the day before. Emma shifted her focus, her striking blue eyes widening a bit in astonishment. A hush settled around them for a fleeting instant. Then, Emma furrowed her brow in contemplation. "Salutations," she said. "I know you well." Adam felt a tightness constricting his throat. "Absolutely." She offered a subtle nod. "You are the person from the workplace." Eliza playfully kicked her legs, making her swing sway just a bit. "The person who found us." Adam smiled, casually tucking his hands into his pockets. "I am that person." The sisters exchanged a glance, a silent understanding that only those with such a deep connection can fully comprehend. Emma was certainly the more outspoken of the two, as she turned to him and asked, "Why are you here?" It was just a simple question, but it hit him with an unexpected force. He found himself unable to disclose the truth to them. Not right now. He couldn't just say, "I'm here because I am your father. I should have been there from the start." Instead, he brought himself down to meet their gaze. "Your mother hinted that you might be in search of a new companion." Emma narrowed her eyes, assessing his viability as a worthy candidate. "Do you know the method for getting a swing moving?" Adam let out a breathless chuckle, a wave of relief sweeping over him from the unexpected twist in the conversation. "I am confident that I can find a solution to this." Eliza radiated joy. "Got it." Nonetheless, not overly high. Adam positioned himself behind them, giving a gentle nudge to each. Delightful cries echoed in the atmosphere, their mirth reverberating across the park. Sophia reclined on the bench, her eyes focused straight ahead, betraying none of her inner musings. Adam felt a sense of ambiguity regarding how long they would remain. In that moment, he experienced a rare clarity, unburdened by the weight of work, meetings, or any responsibilities. Instead, His mind was a canvas painted with the pure, joyful sound of his daughter's laughter. Upon finally stepping off the swings, the girls felt a rush of breathlessness, their cheeks flushed with excitement. Emma settled into the grass, her eyes rising to connect with his. She acknowledged that you possess a certain talent in playing. Eliza offered a contemplative nod, indicating her concurrence. Absolutely. Your allure is undeniable. Adam felt a shift within, a profound sensation that slipped through his grasp, defying his attempts to express it. He had dedicated a considerable part of his life chasing different aspirations, achievement, influence, dominance. As he settled into the grass with his daughters, their laughter echoing as they playfully nudged the flowers nearby, a realization began to unfold within him. After what felt like an eternity, he discovered a rare moment of simply being, without the urge to chase after anything. In that instant, he realized he was exactly where he needed to be. Adam found himself taken aback by the seemingly effortless nature of it all. He anticipated a degree of unease, ambiguity, and possibly a feeling of detachment. As he nestled in the grass beside Emma and Eliza, watching them collect delicate white flowers to create their enchanting crowns, he felt a profound sense of how seamlessly they had invited him into their realm. They stayed oblivious to his real identity, at least for the moment, yet fear did not seize them. Emma nestled next to him, her legs elegantly crossed as she carefully wove the stems together, her focus unmistakable. From time to time, she would pause to scrutinize her masterpiece, making certain that each bloom was positioned flawlessly before proceeding. Eliza, on the other hand, seemed utterly enchanted by the endeavor of collecting a myriad of flowers, her small hands brimming as she radiated joy at her growing assortment. "I think I'm better at this than you," Emma said, narrowing her eyes at her unfinished crown. Eliza wrinkled her nose in disapproval. "Your perceived superiority is simply a privilege I bestow upon you." Adam sported a cunning smile. "That sounds like something a younger sibling would say." Emma took a deep breath, turning to face him with an expression of complete astonishment. "We are of the same age." Eliza nodded, her expression solemn. "Remember, we share the same birthday." Adam lifted his hands in a light-hearted display of giving up. "Certainly, that was a lapse in my judgment. Who among you is the older twin?" Emma raised her shoulders, filled with a sense of accomplishment. "Me. Only a few moments." Eliza released a weary breath, her frustration palpable. "Nonetheless, that lacks substance." Emma found comfort in Adam's company. "It surely matters, doesn't it?" Adam chuckled quietly, watching the seamless manner in which they traded light-hearted banter, resembling an instinctual choreography. A deep void enveloped him, a yearning for that bond, for the shared moments intricately stitched into the tapestry of their everyday lives. "If you say so," he replied, acquiescing to the notion. Yet, 2 minutes hardly constitutes a substantial duration. Emma beamed with a sense of accomplishment, as if she had just won a spirited argument, while Eliza teasingly stuck out her tongue before refocusing on her blossoms. After a few more moments of concentrated stillness, Emma delicately placed her completed flower crown on her head and cast a glance at Adam. "What do you think?" He looked at her with a mock seriousness, tilting his head just a bit. That appears to be rather remarkable. Nonetheless, I feel there's a crucial element that may be slipping under your radar." Emma frowned, raising her hand to adjust the flowers. "Beg your pardon?" With a gentle hand, Adam picked a tiny daisy from Eliza's collection and thoughtfully tucked it behind Emma's ear. "There. Right now, it is perfect." Emma let out a gentle laugh, her fingers gliding over the flower as she beamed at him with a radiant smile. "Now it's your moment to shine." Eliza's eyes glimmered with enthusiasm as she rushed to choose the most exquisite flowers from her assortment. It would be fitting to craft one for him too. Adam hesitated, doubt dancing in his thoughts. "I'm uncertain whether I embody the essence of someone who wears a flower crown." Emma shot him a piercing look. "How unfortunate. Now that you've joined us on the swings, it's only right that you wear the crown." Eliza nodded with immense excitement. "Absolutely. It's perfectly balanced." Adam released a profound, dramatic sigh. "Understood." Nevertheless, if anyone were to ask, I found myself driven to do so. The two girls giggled quietly as they embarked on their task, carefully arranging the flowers, whispering secrets in low voices while they fashioned the crown with a light-hearted seriousness. Adam stayed in his seat, letting them move about as an unexpected warmth started to grow in his chest. He dedicated endless hours to crafting his existence, arranging circumstances, making certain that everything transpired exactly as he imagined. As he sat with his daughters, letting them decorate him with flowers like a character in a fanciful garden tale, a realization began to take shape within him. After years of steadfast dominance, he discovered himself in uncharted territory. And in a certain sense, that didn't bother him at all. With a sense of accomplishment, Emma smiled brightly as she carefully placed the crown on his head, taking a moment to admire the results of their hard work. Indeed, you now exude an air of nobility. Eliza joined her hands in a cheerful clap. The ruler of flowers. Adam chuckled gently. I find myself questioning my emotions about that title. Emma radiated joy. Thus, that will be your name moving forward. Once it's done, there's no going back. Just as Adam was on the verge of expressing his concerns, he caught the sound of Sophia's voice drifting from a nearby spot. Dear ladies, the time is drawing near. Emma and Eliza sighed in unison. At this moment, Sophia walked over to them, her arms crossed, but a hint of amusement sparkled in her eyes as she looked at Adam. Beautiful crown. Adam exhaled slowly, a slight shake of his head accompanying the removal of the flowers from his hair. It appears I have been presented with no alternatives. Sophia donned a cunning grin. Welcome to the adventure of nurturing young minds. Emma grasped his hand firmly, preventing him from standing up. Will you be coming back tomorrow? Eliza looked up at him, her eyes brimming with hope and anticipation. With warmth, Adam glanced at Sophia from the corner of his eye, noticing her keen gaze fixed on him, though she chose to remain quiet. She chose to remain uninvolved. She was not dissuading them from inquiring. He looked at his daughters, noticing how they hung on his every word as if it were the most important thing in the world. He smiled broadly. Certainly. I will stay engaged. Emma exclaimed with delight, enveloping him in a sudden embrace as she wrapped her arms around his neck. Eliza entered a moment later, and in that fleeting instant, Adam felt a deep understanding of what he had almost missed. They stayed oblivious to his real identity. They remained oblivious to the importance he had embodied for them throughout the years. Nevertheless, they held a firm conviction about one particular aspect. He found himself at this pivotal juncture. He stood resolutely in position. The next day, Adam arrived at the park earlier than planned. He felt a wave of uncertainty wash over him. Perhaps it was just that, after years of routine, he finally sensed a flicker of excitement for something beyond the confines of his career. It was peculiar, yet somehow welcoming. As he sat on the bench, a sense of eager expectation filled him as he pondered the swift changes that had taken place. Just a few days earlier, he had no knowledge of Emma and Eliza's presence. In that instant, they occupied his every contemplation. The moment Sophia entered with the girls, their eyes were immediately drawn to him. Emma was the first to react, rushing toward him with a sense of urgency. Eliza followed closely, her small arms moving with determination as she tried to keep up with the rhythm. You've made it, Emma gasped, stopping abruptly just in front of him. I told you I would, Adam said, standing up. Eliza exuded happiness. You have perfectly timed your arrival. Sophia, having kept a consistent rhythm, ultimately drew closer to them, giving him a nod of approval. Punctuality is key. That's an encouraging sign. Adam sported a cunning smile. Did you expect something else? Sophia let out a heavy sigh, but opted for silence instead. The girls eagerly pulled him toward the playground, each grasping one of his hands. Today we shall engage in a game of tag, Emma proclaimed. And you're it, Eliza declared, before she and her sister dashed away, laughter trailing behind them. Adam let out a quiet laugh, watching them for a brief moment before dashing off in pursuit. They burst forth with exuberance, weaving behind slides and climbing platforms to escape his reach. He could have effortlessly captured them, yet he opted to allow them a few victories, savoring their laughter as they playfully mocked him from afar. At last, they sank onto the grass, exhausted but satisfied. Adam took a seat beside them, gathering his thoughts once more. Sophia lingered at a slight remove, her face a mask of mystery as she watched intently. Very well, Emma responded, adjusting her stance with purpose. Inquiries are plentiful. Adam raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Questions. Eliza offered a subtle nod. As someone close to us, it's essential that we collect a bit of information. He rested on his elbows. Got it. Proceed. Emma narrowed her eyes, her stare keen and intent. Do you enjoy ice cream? Adam sported a cunning smile. Who could possibly resist? Eliza beamed with joy. Which flavor brings you the most joy? He pretended to ponder. Chocolate is an enchanting indulgence that engages the senses. Emma took a deep breath. That is inaccurate. Eliza released a gentle, harmonious laugh. It's either plain or nothing at all.
Adam çakletgenti.
I shall keep that in mind. The questions continued to arise. Favored Hugh, cherished being esteemed champion. He answered every question, noting how they carefully absorbed his words, as if they were assessing his value for their confidence. Then Emma tilted her head slightly. Do you have any kids? The question caught him off guard. His stomach twisted in knots as he cast a furtive glance at Sophia, who had suddenly fallen into an eerie stillness. He observed the wariness in her eyes, though it was unwarranted for him. He found himself unready to disclose the truth to them in that way. No, he responded carefully. Just right now. Emma frowned deeply. Can you please elaborate on what you mean? Adam took a moment, carefully navigating his mind in search of the ideal words. I've never met young ones quite like you before. Eliza pondered this for a moment, then offered a nod of assent. Got it. What is the next question? Sophia exhaled softly, a sense of calm washing over her. The rest of the afternoon unfolded with cheerful conversation and delightful laughter. As the time to leave drew near, the girls clung to him with enthusiasm, their small arms wrapping around his waist as they murmured quick goodbyes before sprinting off to the car. Sophia lingered in the darkness, her gaze fixed on him with unwavering focus. You handled that remarkably well.
Adam's gaze met hers.
I sincerely meant what I conveyed. I'm savoring the process. Sophia nodded slowly and with intention. I comprehend. I genuinely appreciate it. He took a brief moment before asking, Have you shared anything with them yet? She softly shook her head. Not right now. Yet it won't take much time. Adam exhaled deeply. I genuinely hope so. As he watched them leave, a sudden understanding washed over him. He wasn't just trying to blend into their lives. He had already been there. Adam had always found it challenging to be patient. He possessed an innate ability to make quick choices, effortlessly closing deals and smoothly moving on to the next thrilling venture without hesitation. In this moment, the anticipation of Sophia's revelation to the girls felt as if it were extending into infinity. He understood the motivations that lay behind her hesitation. Within the world of Emma and Eliza, a tight bond had always existed among the three, the two sisters and their mother, revealing a father they had never encountered. A father whose absence had gone unnoticed, would change everything. Still, the anticipation proved to be just as challenging. The next afternoon, as he arrived at the park, he immediately felt a change in the air. The girls seemed to be missing their usual energy, and Sophia looked as though she had hardly slept the night before. Emma perched on the swing, softly nudging the earth with her feet, as Eliza, sitting cross-legged on the grass, idly tugged at the blades beneath her fingertips. Their response lacked the usual excitement. There were no radiant smiles or unrestrained joy at his arrival. His stomach twisted in knots. Sophia met his gaze, then gave a slight nod, a quiet recognition that the long-anticipated dialogue had at last occurred. His heart pounded with a fervor that was nearly all-consuming. He had imagined this moment for days, trying to prepare himself for every possible reaction. Yet now that it was here, he felt completely unprepared. He moved with careful intention, kneeling next to Eliza first. Hey, Peanut, he murmured gently, recalling the endearing nickname he had once heard Sophia use. Are you okay? Eliza took a moment to gather her thoughts before replying. She looked at him with focused intensity, her blue eyes exploring his features as if trying to decode an enigma. Finally, she whispered, "Is it really true?" Adam swallowed hard, anxiety creeping in. Which part? Eliza took a deep breath, briefly looking at her sister before redirecting her attention to him. You are our father. His throat tightened, but he managed to nod. Certainly, my dear. Absolutely, it is. Emma finally shattered the stillness from the swing. But where have you been hiding? It was the question he had dreaded more than anything. Not because of a lack of response, but because no reply could ever fulfill the desire for something deeper. He turned to face her, his voice steady and soothing. He admitted that he didn't know about you. Until recently, I had no idea you were even here. Emma frowned in displeasure. But how exactly? Adam hesitated, casting a quick look at Sophia, who lingered nearby, watching closely. He perceived her willingness to step in should things escalate, but he believed it was crucial to handle this by himself. Sometimes, adults choose specific routes, convinced they are doing what's best, he reflected with consideration. Sometimes, those choices result in results that stray from what was anticipated. Eliza fiddled with a blade of grass, reflecting on his words. Your mother failed to bring it up.
Adam eyhalet deeply.
Absolutely not, she did not. Emma shot a quick look at Sophia before redirecting her attention to him. Are you out of your mind? He immediately shook his head. Unfavorable. This isn't aimed at you. Emma watched him closely, her slender fingers gripping the chains of the swing. What follows now? What appeared to be a simple question held the weight of the universe within it. Adam shifted his stance, fully reclining on the grass, facing both of them. It's entirely up to you, he responded earnestly. I aim to make sure you feel at ease and free from any pressure. This might seem daunting, yet I yearn to fully embrace this moment. I long to gain a deeper insight into your thoughts and feelings. I long for you to genuinely grasp my essence. Eliza tilted her head slightly, resembling a paternal presence. Adam experienced a profound pang in his chest. Absolutely, resembling a paternal presence. Emma kicked at the dirt again, immersed in her thoughts. After what felt like an eternity, she finally asked, Do daddies go to school plays? Adam's lips trembled just a bit. If their daughters wish for it, they undoubtedly will. Eliza's face lit up. Do they help in building things? Adam offered a subtle nod. Absolutely. Emma crossed her arms over her chest. Do they take pleasure in vanilla ice cream? Adam let out a gentle, amused chuckle. Even if they don't, they'll pretend as though they do. The girls exchanged yet another look, their silent twin conversation revealing itself in front of him. In that moment, a silent connection appeared to surround them, urging Eliza to inch closer, her gentle hand resting on his knee. Very well, she responded effortlessly. Emma followed closely behind. She elegantly stepped off the swing, moving toward him with a hint of uncertainty before finally resting against his side, her delicate arms wrapping around him in a cautious yet purposeful embrace. Adam barely had a chance to process it when Eliza wrapped her arms around him, holding him with equal intensity. His throat throbbed as he closed his eyes, breathing in deeply, relishing the warmth that surrounded him. He had dedicated his entire life to chasing what he felt was meaningful: success, power, control. As he sat in the grass, his daughters nestled against him. A deep understanding washed over him. He had never truly grasped the essence of cherishing something of real value. Sophia quietly wiped her eyes, watching them from a distance. Adam's gaze met hers amidst the throng of girls, and in that moment, she seemed completely at ease. She simply nodded, a subtle acknowledgement of the moment that had just transpired. They had grown accustomed to each other. They were family. Adam had always believed that life centered on the pursuit of mastery. Every decision he took, every path he chose was carefully crafted to ensure success. He built an expansive empire from scratch, securing his reputation as one of the most powerful figures in the industry, ensuring that every detail was meticulously planned. While standing in Sophia's inviting apartment, helping Emma and Eliza with a puzzle laid out on the floor, he experienced a deep realization that the most important part of his life was something he had never expected. The past week was a whirlwind of events. Once the girls revealed the truth, everything changed. They persisted in their inquiries, a torrent of questions cascading forth. Emma was determined to explore every detail of his existence, his home, his career, and the mystery surrounding his late awareness of having daughters. Eliza held a thoughtful silence, her expression deep in contemplation. Yet her gaze burned with intensity, as if she were dissecting him, striving to reveal the truth hidden within his words. He had foreseen obstacles, but in some ways it turned out to be less difficult than he expected. They welcomed him with open arms, not yet aware that he was their father. This moment was distinguished by the profound bond that had blossomed between them. Something authentic. Adam picked up a puzzle piece, extending it towards Eliza, who sat on his lap, her focus intent on finishing the borders. "I think this one should go here," he said, pointing to the vacant spot. Eliza wrinkled her nose in disapproval. "The color is inaccurate." Emma, lying on her stomach beside them, had a mischievous smile on her face. "Your abilities in this area could use some improvement." Adam chuckled gently. "Solving puzzles has always posed a challenge for me." Eliza finally uncovered the ideal piece and placed it with a deep sense of satisfaction. "That is absolutely acceptable. Come along for a few practice sessions." Adam felt a soothing warmth wrapping around his chest. "I would be grateful for that." Sophia, propped against the kitchen counter, watched them with an expression that betrayed nothing. At first, when he suggested going to spend time with the girls, she experienced a wave of hesitation. However, when the girls had almost begged her to let him stay for dinner, she had given in. As she watched him sitting on the floor in his expensive slacks, surrounded by a collection of puzzle pieces and stuffed animals, it was clear that she felt unsure about how to make sense of the situation. Emma's demeanor transformed, radiating a vibrant energy. "Can we have a sleepover at Daddy's house?" Adam experienced a constriction in his chest upon hearing that word. Father, they had only started using it in the past day or two, and each time it hit him, it felt like a tidal wave crashing over him. Sophia's muscles tightened just a bit. "Emma." Adam lifted a hand, gently halting her. "Would you wish for that?" he asked with a contemplative expression, looking at each of them. Eliza acknowledged with a swift nod. "Certainly." Emma beamed with joy. "We could build a fort and relish the evening hours together." Sophia released a tired breath, her fingers softly kneading her temples. "Shall we take this step by step?" Emma released a deep, exasperated breath. "But mother." Sophia cast a look her way, and Emma immediately fell silent. Adam gazed at Sophia, sensing the silent communication that lingered in the air. This was a novel experience for every one of them. While he yearned to fully envelop the girls in his universe, he recognized that hastening the journey would only muddle the situation. He suggested that we begin by organizing a day. "Why not swing by? Take a look at my space, and if it resonates with you, we can chat about the idea of a sleepover." Emma pondered this for a moment, then offered a nod of assent. "Absolutely." Eliza suppressed a yawn, leaning her head softly against his chest. "I am utterly drained." Adam instinctively pulled her nearer, his fingers gently weaving through her hair. She stayed nearby. Instead, she released a gentle sigh, her slender fingers gliding over the material of his shirt sleeve. Sophia watched them, an enigmatic look flickering across her face. Finally, she distanced herself from the counter and approached with purpose. "All right, everyone, it's time to settle down for the night." Emma brooded. Yet, the path ahead remains uncharted. Sophia crossed her arms over her chest. "The puzzle will be waiting for you here tomorrow." Eliza hesitated, savoring the comfort of Adam's hold before slowly retreating. "Could you please help us settle in?" she asked, looking up at him with a spark of hope in her eyes. Adam felt a tightness in his throat. He found it difficult to articulate why that specific detail rendered everything so palpable, but it certainly had that effect. Softly tucking them beneath the blankets. A subtle act, a routine under the stars, a gift he had kept to himself until this moment. He inhaled deeply and offered a subtle nod. Absolutely. I would be thrilled to. Sophia offered no resistance as he followed them into their room. A snug space with twin beds positioned against opposite walls, dressed in blankets decorated with tiny stars and a plethora of stuffed animals piled high. Emma settled into bed, quickly pulling the blankets up to her chin. Good night, Daddy. Wishing you the sweetest dreams. It emerged once again. Adam bent down and softly kissed the top of her head. Rest peacefully, my beloved. Eliza waited patiently for him to take his place beside her, then hesitated. Are you planning to come back tomorrow? Adam softly tucked a stray curl behind her ear, a wave of yearning rising in his heart. Shall I proceed with that? She offered a subtle nod. Certainly. He radiated joy. In that scenario, I will stay here. She closed her eyes, satisfied with that reply. Sophia stood in the doorway, watching him as he turned off the small nightlight and quietly left the room. Quietness surrounded them as he followed her into the living room. Finally, Sophia exhaled, crossing her arms over her chest. She admitted that she was uncertain about the likelihood of success. Adam's gaze met hers, a silent connection forming between them. What follows next? She hesitated, doubt dancing in her gaze. A profound fondness for you already exists within them. Adam swallowed hard. I cherish them too. Sophia studied him closely for an extended period. Please remain here with us. He edged nearer. I refuse to do that. She met his gaze, searching for a flicker of feeling in his expression. Whatever it was, she must have uncovered it, for she ultimately gave a slight nod. Got it. Adam exhaled, feeling a tranquility settle deep inside him. For the very first time, he held something real, something that transcended every dollar, every accomplishment, and every bit of influence he had ever sought. He held them in his grasp. He stood steadfast, unyielding in his position. The conclusion of this narrative strikes a profound chord, as it goes beyond Adam's simple discovery of his daughters. It captures the essence of change, renewal, and the deep realization that true achievement is measured not by riches or power, but by the relationships we cultivate and the individuals we dedicate ourselves to. From the very beginning, Adam emerged as a commanding presence, exerting influence over every facet of his life, firmly believing that his business empire defined who he was. Yet, when he meets Emma and Eliza, he is forced to confront the truth that he has been missing something profoundly essential. The journey transcends the simple act of reconnecting. It's about showing both them and Sophia that he is a person who will stand firm and unwavering. Sophia's role is equally significant. For years, she clung to the belief that distancing herself from Adam was the correct choice. As she watches him build relationships with the girls, she wrestles with the unsettling thought that perhaps she was wrong. Her uncertainty arises not from ill intent but from a profound fear, a fear that Adam may leave, that the girls could endure hardship, that the foundation she has diligently built for them might crumble. Observing her lower her guard and accept Adam is just as vital to the story's resolution as the girls' acceptance of him. The final scene, where Adam softly tucks them in, is subtle yet deeply meaningful. It's not a grand spectacle, nor an ostentatious declaration, but instead a quiet and intimate experience. It shows that love goes beyond simple promises. It represents reliability, being there in the subtle moments, and expressing emotions through actions instead of just words. This story beautifully illustrates that genuine family goes beyond just blood relations. It is found in the simple act of being there for one another. While Adam was not present for the initial 4 years of his daughter's life, his unwavering resolve to be there for every moment moving forward is what truly matters. The past stands immutable, while the future unfolds as a blank canvas awaiting his touch. In the end, that is what truly matters most.